Hi, my name is Jeff Rock, and kind of wanted to talk about how I ended up here at this church and what God has done in my life and is continuing to do in my life. Years ago, I had finished college and got my MBA, got out of school and took a different direction and started working with professional athletes. Unfortunately, I made some bad business decisions and ended up going to prison for 18 months. After serving my time in federal penitentiary and getting back home to my family, unfortunately, it affected my wife and my relationship deeply. We tried to work through that, and it just didn't make it. So shortly after that, I had been looking for a career post getting out of serving time. And because of some of the charges, I wasn't able to find anything related to what my college degree was in. While I was in college, I had worked as a country music DJ at night at Borderline Bar and Grill. And so I had a huge background in country music, doing weddings, bars, events, and things like that. I went back to the bar and asked them if there was a position or opening. He immediately took me back. It was a new owner, and he knew of my background and who I was. So within no time flat, I had already worked my way up into management and running the club, and had now gotten myself into a position where I could think about a future and a career. So in all of that, I met this amazing girl there and fell in love, head over heels in love. And she changed my life. And it was pretty neat because I got to change her life as well by bringing her to church. And we got plugged in with this amazing church and invited a lot of our friends and people that was going to the bar. We kept inviting new people to go to church. And so moving forward, we got engaged. I asked her to marry me. We planned our wedding day, and things were like a dream come true. Unfortunately, I was away on business on a weekend, and things took a horrible turn. While I was away that weekend, she went out with friends to the bar, had a little too much to drink, and stayed late. The owner offered to give her a ride home. Unfortunately, he took her to his home, and whatever happened. She was honest and admitted it to me. It devastated me deeply. So like I said, in one day I lost my job, my house, my girl, everything that I had in that moment. It all fell apart. I needed to be close to family. I moved in with my brother, who took me in, spending time with family, but I fell into this incredibly deep depression, and I can't explain it. I didn't know that something could be so dark and so locked out from life. So in this deep depression, I refused to go out. I refused to talk to friends. I cut myself off from the world and lost pretty much everybody in my life except for my family. Also during that time, I found out that I had it's called a pituitary adenoma. It's a brain tumor on the pituitary. So I had to have surgery to remove the tumor, a couple weeks of intense radiation. So now I'm depressed and I'm sick and dealing with health problems. My back, for years, ever since the Marine Corps, I had a training accident that blew open some discs. So I had been dealing with the cancer, the back surgery, the depression, and all of these issues. And in moving, I moved just up the street from where the church is now. During all of this going on, Dean Palacio, who was a friend of my brother's and I knew through doing DJ gigs and music, had been inviting me constantly to come check out the church. And for almost a year, I'd been putting him off and finding excuses and reasons not to go. Finally, one Sunday after moving in just up the street, I decided I don't have any more excuses. I could walk here. So I came to visit, and it was on that Sunday that at the end of service, Pastor John asked for people that needed healing, whether physical or emotional, to raise your hand, and they would have people or get groups of people together to pray over you. I reluctantly raised my hand, and I did that somewhat because Dean had decided to sit with me during the service. So I knew at least someone who had an understanding of what I've been through and would be laying hands on me and praying for me. But out of nowhere, from the front row, I watch a lady turn and look at me, come all the way back and introduce herself. Kim told me that she felt that she needed to pray for me, so it was just the three of us. And she asked what I needed prayer for. I told her because of the surgery. I had just gotten out of the wheelchair and was walking with a cane and needed to stop dealing with all of this intense pain and continuing to use so many massive amounts of pain pills. So she laid hands on me, and her and Dean prayed, and it was about halfway through the prayer she said that she really felt God leaning on her, that there was more, and said she felt that I had been depressed and in a really dark place, and that God put on her that she knew there was more, and that I wasn't just asking for prayer for my back. And so at the end of the prayer, she looked at me and said, I hope I didn't overstep my bounds, and said, I just really feel that there's more. And I opened up to her a little bit about the depression and that I had been alone for the last 2 years. I tithed the church that day. I gave my last $20, and I believe that God had opened up a door, or at least a direction for me that I'd been avoiding for years. After having hands laid on me and Kim praying for me about so many things, it was immediately that I felt that God had removed a burden from me. I went home that day and felt that I could walk without the cane, and did. And woke up the next day, and it normally takes me about 15 minutes to get out of bed. I got right out of bed and showered and started my day. After leaving that Sunday and immediately feeling the healing from God's hand physically, we had also prayed for emotional healing, and it felt like a burden had been lifted. The depression was gone. I had also been praying faithfully for God to provide work. I got a call Tuesday to start a country night Wednesday. Another person was there Wednesday and saw me and owns a bar and wanted me to do Thursday. And out of Thursday, I was out one night and got a Friday. And it's just been one thing after another that every time I pray, hey God, just a little more, He's continued to answer my prayer, where now I've already got a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it doesn't seem that there's an end in sight to what I'm praying for. And my future is just wide open at this point.